as I said back in the first night of these round of 16 action, if you like goals and action, tonight is finally the night for you to see. Because not only the fact that we saw goals in both of these two games, but we saw some crazy action happening in these games. And let's us just get to the chase and talk about the first game, which is probably one of the craziest game we have seen so far in this tournament. And that, of course, is the San Jose Earthquakes versus RSL. Now, I knew coming into this game, and I said this in the preview, I thought this was going to be a physical match. Both of these teams seems to not like each other whatsoever, and that things can get very physical where both teams just decided to do some very nasty kind of challenges, and in some way some of these nasty challenge actually result in a red card, and that there was a lot of bickering between both of these teams. What I didn't expect is a 7 goal thriller that we saw in this game, and that defending from both teams seems like they chose today as the day to have a day off in terms of this game, because we saw no defense that was played in this game. Now, RSL did make 4 changes coming into the starting 11, and obviously I know coming into this game, RSL fan was not happy the fact that they were giving significantly less amount of days to rest coming into this game compared to the Quakes, who I think they had a week off coming into this game, and by far were the much fresher side heading into this. Now, in the first half, I thought the Quakes looked promised on the attack, but once again, they just seemed to lack that final ball that potentially could give us the opening goal. Now, that opening goal eventually it came in the 21st minute when Christian Espinoza scores from Vaco and Eriksson. Espinoza is just in form right now. Like, the way that he just completely ripped apart that RSL defense, which, as I said before in the preview, this RSL defense is no joke. Like, this team have not conceded a goal heading into this game, and the fact that they just got completely ripped to, well, RSL did concede 2 goals against Sporting KC. I take that back of what I said about they haven't conceded a goal so far, but this was an RSL defense that was a very sturdy defense, so it was definitely no joke in terms of the way that we just completely ripped apart their defense, and that Espinoza was having a field day on that right flank area. Then as soon as Espinoza was able to score that opening goal, and just as I was putting that goal onto this board and put 1-0 in favor of the Quakes, Martinez then scores from Corey Bear in the 22nd minute, and I had to actually go to the replay to see what in the world happened there, because, again, I was still writing the board. I have no clue how in the world we just concede 13 seconds after we scored the opening goal in this game. And would you believe it, it's Goran Kasia again. I mean, I call him Mr. Liability for a reason, because he is probably the biggest liability on this team, and I still don't know how in the world is he still getting regular starts for this team, because his mistake allowed Martinez to go through on goal. I mean, it was a lovely finish by Martinez to try to do a little cheeky chip over Vega, but in many ways that should have never happened if Goran Kasia would just misjudge that ball and allow Douglas Martinez just went through on goal just like that. Now, in the 34th minute, McMath would rob Rios from 6 yards out in this game, and that the Quakes did had a couple of more chances after that equalizer, and that thought they were potentially going to get that second goal with the way that they did a good job in terms of not just kind of capitulate. Like, so many times when we see teams concede a goal so quickly after they got the opener, they basically capitulate and the other team would have the momentum. But the Quakes did a good job in terms of continue to dictate the pace of the game, and that the only thing that was unfortunate heading into halftime is that they didn't take a 2-1 lead. Now, they did take a 2-1 lead just 4 minutes into the second half, because a penalty was given against RSL after Alvin Jones decided to bump Tommy Thompson in the box, which Eriksson was able to put away the penalty to give the Quakes the 2-1 lead. Then in the 58th minute, Vega robbed Krylak from 17 yards out, and I thought after we went up 2-1 in this game, it felt like all of a sudden RSL started to woke up and that we started to look very vulnerable at the back. And one of the example of that is when Krylak actually had acres of space to try to shoot that one, only for Vega to basically rob him. Then just 3 minutes later, it's Vaco scores from Rios to give the Quakes a 3-1 lead. Originally, I thought Rios was probably in an offside position when that ball was feeded to him, but apparently they look on the replay and they said that he was just onside in that instant, and the goal, of course, was given. Then 1 minute later, we almost did something we did in the first half, which is instantly concede a goal after we scoring one. But the good news is Vega was able to rob Krylak again from 14 yards out. But ultimately, Krylak would get his goal in the 75th minute when he scored from Silva. And at that point, when RSL scored that second goal, I was getting very nervous. Like, RSL was really pressing us when we were up 3-1 in this game, and it looked like if they would have just got that second goal and get themselves back into the game, I have a feeling the Quakes are going to potentially concede another one, and that this game would be at 3-3 before the end of 90th minute. But instead, in the 83rd minute, Silva decided to do a studs-up let breaker challenge on Jackson Yule, which that was automatically a red card for him. And this red card absolutely changed the game and just completely derailed the momentum that RSL had. In fact, after this red card, they just completely capitulate. With just 2 minutes later, Wando would make it 4-2 in favor of the Quakes. A little bit fortunate for Wando, the fact that that shot originally was saved by McMath, but somehow when McMath palmed that one away, it somehow hits Wando's shin guard, and he was able to put it into the back of the net. But hey, you know, as the old saying goes, it's better to be lucky than sometimes to be good. And when you score like 161 goals in MLS, those are kind of the moments sometimes you're going to have, and that the luck obviously will be with Wando whenever that instant, of course, happened. Then it was 5-2 in favor of the Quakes after Eriksson, of course, put away another penalty, and Beckerman, of course, handballed this to give the Quakes the second penalty of the night. And the biggest surprise out of that sequence was why in the world did they actually had to go to VAR in that instant. Like, that was so obvious, the fact that it was a handball. I believe Stu Holden even said that that's clearly a handball when he first saw it, and I just, like, I had to agree with him. Like, I didn't even need to see the replay and look at VAR, and that I just thought it was clearly handball. There's no way in the world that is going to be not overturned, and thankfully they did eventually overturn it, and that the penalty was given, and that, as I said, Eriksson was able to put away the penalty to make it 5-2. And then Beckerman, right as the final whistle was blown, he decided to kick the ball to the referee, which that also means that you are automatically going to be sent off in that incident. Now, I'm not quite sure if Beckerman did that on purpose with the way that he decided to kick the ball like that, and clearly you can see he was very frustrated with the game being, and you sometimes see when the losing team and the players that is on the losing team, when the final whistle is blown, sometimes they decide to just kick the ball out of frustration. But obviously that doesn't excuse the fact that the action he did was acceptable in any circumstances, and that I have a feeling if these red cards that is going to be carried out into the regular season, which I'm assuming most likely it's going to be, not only the fact that he's going to be suspended for the next regular season game, but he's probably going to be suspended for a couple of games, because Disco is going to look at this and they're going to probably give not only a hefty fine to Kyle Beckerman, but he might be suspended a couple of games, because when you kick the ball at the ref, whether you do it intentionally or unintentionally, you are going to be suspended for a couple of games. But yeah, that is the final score of this game, as the Quakes were able to win 5-2 in this game. And in terms of shots in this game, 19 shots compared to 10 that RSL had, 8 shots on goal compared to 5 that RSL had, 7 shots off target compared to 4 that RSL has, 4 shots that was blocked compared to 1 that RSL has, and possession-wise, 60% possession compared to 40% possession that RSL has. And although I was very impressed with how the Quakes played tonight, especially on the attack, which I thought it was a 5-star performance from them. The defense was anything but a 1-star performance tonight, and this does make me worry about the next opponent we're going to be facing, whether it's going to be Columbus or Minnesota. That these are the two teams that I think could easily exploit this Quakes defense, and if they don't sort out the defense and clean up the mistake that they had in this game against RSL, I am very concerned with the fact that when the Quakes play in the next round against Columbus and Minnesota, because I really think in some way this game we kind of got away with some of those bad defensive mistakes, and that red card obviously completely changed the momentum, but it's just going to get to some point where if we don't get those breaks like that, and if the defense are going to continue to look that awful as we saw in tonight's game, there might not be a situation where we're going to have a performance like the one that we had tonight. So yeah, I'm really hoping Almeida, of course, will fix up that defense, and hopefully I do not want to see Cassia to be in the starting 11 again in that next game when we face either Columbus or Minnesota in the next round. And for RSL, yeah, in some way I kind of feel bad for RSL fans because, as a Quakes fan, I know the feeling seeing your team just completely capitulate, since I've been through that a lot of time in the past couple of years, and it's definitely not a good feeling when your team just completely gave up and just giving up goals like fun, especially in the latter part of the game. But moving on, in terms of the next game, is the Seattle Sounders versus LAFC, where LAFC absolutely throttled the Sounders in this game. And the Sounders, just like Toronto yesterday, did not show up whatsoever in this game. In the first half, Blessing had the first real chance to give LAFC the lead, but couldn't quite stab the shot away from 4 yards out. Eventually, they did get the first goal when Rossi was able to score a penalty. Arriaga, of course, brought down Rossi. That, of course, gave LAFC a penalty. And Arriaga had a nightmare of a game against LAFC in this one. LAFC, I thought they looked very dangerous on the attack. And in many ways, there was multiple times I was thinking, how in the world did LAFC not be 2 or 3-0 up against the Sounders? Because, as I said, the Sounders, they just did not show up whatsoever in this game. Then, eventually, they did make it 2-0 in the 39th minute when Blessing scores from BWP and Rodriguez. Although, I feel like there should have been called an own goal on Shane O'Neill, because when Blessing shot that one, that took a wicked deflection off of O'Neill, and that, I guess maybe when they saw the fact that Blessing shot was actually on target before it was deflected off of a wicked deflection off of O'Neill, that's why they said that's not an own goal and it's given to Blessing. Now, have he actually not hit that shot on target, then I think most likely that is going to be an own goal for O'Neill, but I'm pretty sure LAFC doesn't really care as they are up 2-0 at that point. And to just show you how LAFC absolutely dominated the first half and the Sounders decide not to show up in this game, LAFC outshot Seattle 10-1 in the first half. And in the second half, it was pretty much the same story. Like Seattle, they just continued to look poor both on the attack and on the defense. Marc-Anthony Kaye almost made it 3-0, but unfortunately his shot was just dragged wide. Then Stephen Fry robbed Rossi as he went through on goal and tried to keep his team in this game. Before, in the 75th minute, something completely unexpected happened. Will Bruin scores from Jones, and that I thought that was just completely against the run of plays, and that I just feel like with how the game has went, there's no way in the world Seattle was going to be back in this game. But yet, that goal, it seemed like it kind of sparked something for Seattle, because all of a sudden, Seattle looked like they woke up and they realized that there's actually a game to be played against LAFC. And that they almost got the equalizer in the 77th minute when Vermeer was able to rob Ruidiaz the equalizer, and that all of a sudden, LAFC looked like they were on the ropes, and that back line definitely looked like they were running out of gas. Now, thankfully, Bob Bradley eventually made the substitution to kind of change things up a little bit, and that substitution seems to help because the back line looked a little bit more sturdier, and eventually LAFC would get that crucial third goal when Rossi would would score to make it 3-1 in favor of the Seattle Sounders. And as I said, Arriaga, yeah, he got pickpocket in this instant, just completely mishap the clearance there and got pickpocket by Rossi to basically send him through on goal. And unlike Rossi, who I really thought he could have scored 4 or 5 goals in this game, was able to put away that one to make it 3-1 before Brian Rodriguez would score to make it 4-1 in favor of LAFC. This time it was Swinson, the one that was the culprit of a horrible giveaway. And anytime when you concede goals to Brian Rodriguez, which with all due respect to Brian Rodriguez, that is definitely not a good feeling. If you're conceding a goal to a guy that have really scored in with this LAFC team and only got his first goal just a couple of games back in this tournament. But anytime you decide to concede a goal to him, you know you're probably going to lose this game. And indeed, that is exactly the case, as LAFC absolutely dismantle Seattle in this game. And that in many ways I was kind of disappointed, the fact that how Seattle just looked very flat throughout this game. Like, you know, coming into this game, there was a lot of hype surround this game, and a lot of people thought that not only this is going to be the game of the tournament, but this is going to be a game that there's going to be tons of goals and that there's going to be entertainment. Well, there were a ton of goals in this game, but the only problem is only one team showed up, and the other team decided that they had enough of the Orlando Heat and looked like they're going to be sent packing back to the Pacific Northwest. Now, in terms of the shots in this game, LAFC had 25 shots compared to 11 that Seattle has, 8 shots on goal compared to 4 that Seattle has, 10 shots off target compared to 4 that Seattle has, 7 shots that was blocked compared to 3 that Seattle has, and possession-wise, 60% possession compared to 40% possession that LAFC had. And with this win, LAFC will be playing against Orlando City, and that will also be another match that will be one that a lot of neutrals would be keeping an eye on, because both of these teams seems to play a very similar style. But yeah, there you have it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think of these two games. Tomorrow, of course, we will have the last 2 games that will be happening in the round of 16, and before you know it, we are going to be into the quarterfinal, and I, of course, will make sure I'll do a preview for that. In fact, I think tomorrow I'm going to do a news of the week, since I haven't done a news of the week in a while. Then I'll do the preview of the quarterfinal after these round of 16 games is over, and we find out what's the quarterfinal matchup is going to be in this tournament. But either way, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you leave a like, smash the subscribe button, and yeah, I, of course, will see you guys next time.